Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of DETAUX Designers Talk UX. So, Frank Lloyd once said, "You have to go wholeheartedly into anything in order to achieve anything worth having." Today, we have Rutajeet with us, who studied accessories design and he stitched his life together to find his passion for UX design and is here to share his story with us. Hey Rutajeet, and welcome to DETAUX. How are you doing today?
Thank you so much. I'm very good. Of course, the weather's not keeping me too well, but yeah, otherwise doing good.
That's why you need to come to Bangalore.
I know.
All right. So we got to know about your journey from X to UX, right?
Okay.
And I thought we should share it on our channel.
Yeah.
So how was it moving from accessory design, leather design, and coming to UX and UI design? Can you go about telling us your story?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, firstly, thank you so much for letting me speak on this platform. You guys are doing a great thing. So I'll talk about my entire journey, okay? Because I think that it's a very good example of someone who's, transitioning from a state of mind of uncertainty, a whole lot of uncertainty, to being placed in a very stable mindset, okay, in this industry. So I'll take you straight back to my childhood, okay? So I was a very creative person as a child as well, okay? So because my parents were very creative, my brother was very creative, so I was always in that sort of space. And coming to school, I wasn't such a great student, okay? But however, my parents sort of never told me to like get certain grades that would sort of put me into some higher pedestal in life, okay? They sort of understood my potential and sort of helped me work towards it. Yeah, I mean, I after graduating from school, I went on to giving admissions through ECA quota, because at that time I was a drummer, okay? And I had just about gotten into drumming, so I was heavily into it. I was wanting to be in a band and also pursue it at the same time. So I thought ECA quota, DU, has got a lot of potential for musicians. Why not try it out? And mind you, I was completely uncertain at that point whether I want to pursue, a bachelor in English or economics or whatever. Okay, so but I was always creative, so I knew that I wanted to get into design. So that didn't happen for me, the ECA quota. Okay, and so I decided, why not try out entrance exams for design? And that's when NIFT happened for me. So I was studying in NIFT Delhi. I had also gotten the opportunity to go to Shrishti, but at that time, again, I had no idea whether, as in what communication design was per se. Like, I knew it was to do with graphic design, but was it something that I wanted to pursue? I really didn't have an idea. So I chose NIFT. I wanted to stay in Delhi, so I took up my admission in NIFT, and that is where, and that's the reason why I was doing leather design in the first place, because leather design was the closest, apart from accessories design, to do with products. Okay, I didn't want to sort of stress on apparel design as much, so I thought, why not get into leather design, do a lot of these leather accessories, and just try my hand out. Okay, primarily focusing on the fact that I wanted to be in Delhi.
Okay.
So what I learned in NIFT, the foundation of design. So there were 4 years that I had to study there. The first year was foundation course, where I literally got to know about the principles and elements of design, which helped me quite a bit to understand what design was. And it also sort of inculcated this whole image of what design could be for me in the future as well. And then the rest of the 3 years were specialization in leather. And that is where the entire research-based design came about for me. And I learned about concepts of understanding users and then ultimately creating products for them. And so basically that was something that really helped me out. Okay, and after that came the placements for me. And I got placed into Reliance, and Reliance being, great marketeers or salespeople, they sold me a dream. Okay. And, however, it wasn't really the dream that I wanted to pursue. And my role was that of a fashion consultant, what you would also probably term it as a shop boy. Okay, not to be derogatory in any way, but yeah, essentially I was there on the store floor and I was handing out things to my customers. But I learned two very important things from that particular job, and these things I still carry forward till date. One was to basically keep my ego in my pocket, okay, and that is something that does not work well in any industry that you work in. And the other was to understand a customer's needs. And I realized that I was such a good salesperson, like in the sense I was doing quite a good job there. But again, that was something, that was it, like that was the point to which I liked the job, and I knew that I wanted to study further and sort of like get into something else. And at this point also I was very uncertain of where to sort of head. Okay, and mind you, when I was in NIFT, courses like uiux weren't really being taught. It was only later on that these courses came about. And yeah, so basically I quit that. I joined a digital marketing firm. One of my friends suggested that place, and they were very good to sort of let me in and sort of teach me certain things. And yeah, I worked there for 3 months, and that was the place where I got to know about uiux, because they were working on certain projects based on apps and websites. But that too was it for me. Like, in a sense, I only understood it from an aesthetic standpoint, but not from a fundamental standpoint of UI/UX. And that is what I wanted to sort of get into. I realized that even in social media marketing, graphic design, and all of that, or social branding, was not my uh, cup of tea. Like, in the sense, I knew how to do it. I was very good at it. But again, it wasn't something that was satisfying my soul in a way. It wasn't much of thinking, even though it does require a lot of thinking to come up with these sort of graphics. But I wanted to sort of stretch out my mind a little bit more. And that's when I decided to go for my entrance exam for design in SEED. SEED is basically a common entrance exam for design where you get into colleges such as IITs, and
Right.
I think there are a couple of other colleges as well where you can get into.
Right.
So, of course, I went there, and I was doing a course which was interdisciplinary, which was also to do with industrial design as well as communication design. And it was like an amalgamation of the two, where I was actually studying UX research and UI and all of that, but at the same time implementing it for products. So I was heavily into product designing rather than focusing on apps and websites. But the fact that I recognize that all businesses require UX research. I mean, everything around us requires UX. If you look at a casserole, if you look at a bottle, if you look at a chair, everything is to do with satisfying a customer's needs, right? And that's the way products get sold, whether it be an intangible product like an app or a website, or it's a tangible product, which is more like any product that you see around you, which could be sort of felt, like the ones that I had mentioned. So I did my thesis and most of my studies in product design. However, UX really stuck onto my mind, and I was like completely focusing on research as a major aspect in building products and services. And I felt that this is something that I really want to get into. And I knew, to be honest, that product design as a field in India is something that is not really up to the mark. Like, in the sense, you don't get too many opportunities, right? And of course, I wasn't too fixated on whether working on products or apps or websites. So I thought, why not look at it from a monetary aspect as well? Because I know for a fact that a lot of designers now who have ventured into UI UX also look at it from a monetary standpoint, because it is one of the most highest paying roles in the world today. And yeah, so that's the reason why I decided to get into this, and I got placed in TCS, thankfully. And with all the learnings that I got from professors in my college, if I can basically name the person who mentored me, was Professor Jumki Iyengar, who also used to work in Philips and was a mentor in IIT Guwahati, IIT Bombay, IIT Kanpur, and places like that. So that's where I basically got all my learnings. And eventually there was this one product that we had to design, and it was a product. It was a physical product. It was to do with uh, enhancing the design of a squatting toilet. Okay. In India, if you're aware, most of the people in India are,
Still use.
using squatting toilets, right? And then the entire process of building that product from scratch, right from research to the end product, was highly illuminating for me, and that thoroughly sort of like got me into this field. Yeah. And then I got placed into TCS, as I said, and then the story moves forward.
From there. So now you're with Apollo 24/7.
I am.
Fine, great. That's great.
Yeah.
It's a very interesting journey that we've come across over here, right? But you, like you mentioned over here, that you were from accessory design, right? And then you got into a company which sold you a dream.
Yeah.
Right. So, is it the lack of opportunities that are there, or is it that a lot of companies, right? They give you something, especially maybe the master recruiters or the bigger companies, right? They would hire you for something that they finally do not really give you that kind of a role, right?
Yeah.
So I've seen that happening with a lot of people. So how does that happen? How did that come across? Of course, you have your learnings. Every job has its learnings, right? Like you mentioned. But how do you see that happening? And have you observed that with other people as well?
So I'll tell you what, I can't really speak for everyone when it comes to sort of not getting the right kind of a job, something that they might have been sort of like looking at during their interviews or placements or whatever. But it just happened so for me. I know for a fact that there are a lot of opportunities out there for someone who's a leather designer. There are a lot of export houses, there are a lot of buying houses that one can work for. But again, the structure of that particular work environment is such that, you don't really feel too good about it. You get what I say? So the thing is that I could have also joined one of these export houses, become a leather designer, made products such as bags, belts, shoes, leather jackets. But it's just that I identified, before time, that I do not want to sort of like venture into the entire fashion industry per se. You get what I mean? I wanted, so if I come back to Reliance, the dream that they sold me was that of getting into a marketing team where I get into research and all of that eventually, and then focus on sort of getting items from different countries and identifying the needs of customers here in India. And that was the role that I was really looking forward to. But it had something attached to it. So I had to basically end up doing enough number of sales in 6 months to be able to go on to doing that.
Right.
You get it? So that kind of a catch situation, like I didn't really like want to get into altogether. I did learn a lot, and I spent a whole lot of time. I spent 8 months doing this. However, I think around 15 other people who had also been placed through NIF into Reliance, they quit the second day that they realized this was the job that they were doing. But I do feel that every job that you do, you learn quite a bit from it. You have to be open about it, and you will see a lot of pros in joining whatever company. And that's the reason why I tell people, if you have not ventured into UI UX yet, and you're very new into it, you would be uncertain, you would be having your doubts, but work enough, build a portfolio, build 2-3 case studies, go to your companies, you apply for companies and work there for at least a year. And that is it. That is all it needs for you to progress further in this particular field. And of course, ultimately, it all depends on whether you like it or not.
What were the things that you learned in addition to what you already had in your skill set?
Okay, so firstly, I would like to say that the fact that I knew the design principles and elements of design, that certainly made it a lot more easier for me to sort of adapt to, UI UX. It's similar principles that we work on as UI UX designers as well. But something that is a constant challenge is basically working on softwares. And before coming into even TCS, the only software that I knew was probably Photoshop and a little bit of Illustrator, but that too not that much. So software learning is one of the most basic criterias that you gotta fit into if you have to become a UI UX designer. You have to know Figma, you have to know the latest software that is being used. Of course, a lot of these softwares are very interrelated, and they can be used. Let's say Sketch, Adobe XD, Figma, they're pretty much similar, right? But when it comes to basic thinking about a solution, or maybe being as inquisitive as possible about the user's problems or needs, that is something that comes from within, and that is something that you either have to study so much that, okay, fine, theoretically I know these are the questions I should be asking in my interviews so that I can gather as much knowledge, but you have to be very inquisitive, and you should have that brain already wired that way, that, okay, I want to get as much from this particular person as possible that would help me bring out the best solution for his problems, right? And of course, communication is something that is also very important, because asking the right questions the right way, and also asking further up questions based on the responses that you're getting, that is also very important. So I recognize 80% of it being UX, like in the sense the research bit, and the UI is probably 20% of it, where aesthetically you could learn a lot of things from other sources online.
So you're saying mostly it was from the UI perspective that those skill sets you had to add into your bucket,
yes,
right?
So
Apart
not also from the
thought process was already there.
The thought process was already there, and also, so like as I said, the principles of design I already knew. In terms of contrast, and how to sort of place certain elements, typography and all of that, I already, of course, I did learn it in my masters. I went into depth in these particular theories, but that is something that you should have an eye for it, what I mean, because a lot of students, in fact, the students that I've taught at designers, a lot of them have a very good idea of how to conduct their research. Okay, but where they lack is the UI. Of course, I would say that even though 80% of it is research and 20% of it is UI, still you have to be strong in both aspects, just so that if your UX is really good, your UI isn't, then it doesn't really go through to the customer, right? So everything is very important and interrelated that way.
Great to listen that you're a mentor at designers as well, right? So how are you finding the experience?
Yeah, it's very good. In fact, I'm on my third batch now, and I thought it would be very hectic, especially because the first round I was doing 2 batches together, one after the other, so that was like 6 hours of my time, and I thought that it's going to be pretty hectic. But the fact that I enjoyed teaching my students that much, and having that relationship of a mentor and a student, and wanting them to thrive as much as I do when it comes to them making their case studies,
right?
That I would take as an achievement. Like, in the sense, if people have the right mindset, I definitely want my students to have the right mindset. And I see a lot of people who are coming to designers having the right mindset, and even though they're like from completely unrelated fields,
right?
And that's basically what I feel is the magic of designers. You learn a lot, and you have a lot of these expert mentors who guide very well, and I feel that they would venture into UI UX in a very knowledgeable manner. Like, they would have all it takes to sort of get into the industry. Right. So yeah, I've been enjoying my time here. Yeah.
Thank you so much for your kind words as well. So much. I hope we have. I hope you have a great learning experience.
Yes. When people I learn a lot also. I learn a lot while teaching, so that's also really good.
And we all do, right? As you become mentors, and people ask you so many questions, right? You sometimes are thinking, why didn't I think like that when I was learning, or maybe.
Yeah. And I feel that you just like being very quick with your thinking is also one more thing that UI
It is.
UX designer should have.
Yeah.
So just putting it out there.
Slaps. Yeah. So Rutajeet, any last words from you?
So I would just say that anything that you do in life, just make sure that you're going into it wholeheartedly. And I would say that if you're wanting to step into the world of UI UX, there are a lot of opportunities waiting for you, and but make sure that you make full use of it and don't lose interest in it in any way, because certainly there is a lot to learn, there's a lot to work on. I don't think that you're going to lose interest in it.
And the field itself is evolving so much, right? There's so much
Absolutely.
to explore and learn. So, guys, that was it for today. We hope you liked the X2UX story. If you have any questions, drop it in the comments down below. If you'd like to see more videos, please consider subscribing. Bye bye. Take care. Thank you so much.